everybody. Erev Tov. As we just heard the strains that Uriah led us into this part of the evening with Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. I am looking around at all of you, and I had a chance to see some of you, greet some of you at dinner, and I'm seeing the many facets of Temple Tikvah here before me. Those of you who've been here for generation upon generation. Those of you who have been here, come here more recently. Those of you who will participate in different aspects of our temple's life. And we are all here together tonight. And Hine ma tov, how good it is to see you all and to be here together. I am so delighted also that we have our awesome choirs participating tonight. Temple Tikvah's adult choir, as well as Temple Tikvah's Kol Simcha choir, our choir that is for our students, our youth choir, as it were. And we are going to begin as we sing Ma Tovu. How good, how fair are your tents, O Jacob. Mishkenotecha Yisrael. How beautiful, how fair are the places where you are, the places where you worship. Friends, this sacred sanctuary has been our container of holiness for 17 years as Temple Tikvah and 60 years as the former Temple Emmanuel. How goodly, Ma Tovu, Oh halacha, how goodly is this place. What wonderful memories we have here. Tonight, we are here to honor and to celebrate all that we have shared in this space. The life cycle events, the holidays, the times we've gathered as a community to grieve, or to celebrate, or to take comfort, find inspiration, to meet new friends, to deepen other friendships. So many of us have so many memories in this place, in this building, and in this temple. I'm going to ask us to start off by giving you just a minute. I know you've been chatting a lot already, but I'd like you, each of us, to call to mind just one memory or one aspect of your life in temple that is meaningful to you. Maybe it's a particular moment or it's a particular part of temple that you're involved with. And I would like you to turn to someone in your vicinity, hopefully somebody you maybe don't talk to all the time. So you can turn behind you if you're in the front row. Maybe you don't talk often to your family members. I'm not getting involved in that. Right? And just share that. Let's just take a moment and fill this space
love with them.
It's so beautiful to hear the conversation in this room right now. Throughout this evening, we're going to hear from some of our members. We'll share memories, we'll reconnect to our values and to one another, and together we'll dream the next chapter of our sacred story. And they, throughout the evening, perhaps invite you to share any of the things that you've shared with one another. And they have time for like 1, 2, or 3 comments. Is there anything anybody would like to share with us at large that you heard or you are remembering or thinking about as they're here? And say your name when I give you the mic, even though I know you, not everybody knows everyone.
My name is Rachel McGraw, and some of you know the story, but going into labor with an oldest child during one of Rabbi's study sessions on Thursday night. She was in there for every Torah study, every Shabbat service, everything that is fitting that she wanted to learn sharing that too. So many life supplements and things.
Thank you. Yes, there's a momentous occasion. Can anybody top that one? Thanks, Rachel. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Hyde Nelson, and one of my favorite memories is my son John. He's now 40, but he was bar mitzvah here. Hi, Rabbi. And my husband is not of this faith, and his father and mother came from Alabama, and it was such a touching ceremony, and there was so much warmth in the room that my father-in-law, who's this big army guy, Southern, tough bullets for lunch, and he was tearing up. It was just beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you. One more for now. Anyone want to add? Okay. We will cap it at that for now, but we're going to continue to share these stories, these memories, throughout the evening here and at our dessert in a little while. We also, as I said, invited some people formally to speak. Meryl Fishkin, if you would like to start us off. Meryl was the first president of Temple Tikvah and has been involved in temple life for lots and lots of years.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In preparation of speaking tonight, I thought a lot about what temple means to me. The best way I could really sum it up is by sharing a short story. My husband and I joined the temple in 1998. 6 years later was our 25th anniversary, and my mother went to my children, Sherry and Greg, and said, what could I get them that they would really appreciate for their anniversary? And both kids together said, just give them the temple, that's all they care about. Swear. Why did they think that? Well, both Brian and I were out every single week, at least 2 or 3 nights for committee meetings. Then there were Friday nights, okay, that were Shabbat services, but we and a large group of temple member friends first had to be at Pomodorino right next door for our pasta dinner and unlimited wine, and then we would go to services. And it did not matter what in the world was going on. If it was Friday night, we went to services. One night we were offered the box for a Billy Joel concert at the Coliseum. We said, no, thank you, we have to be at services. That's how important the temple was to us. It was our life. It really was. Our entire life centered around it. Sherry and Greg were bar and bat mitzvah here. Brian had his first chest pains here, going up that little flight of stairs to the auditorium. And I mention it because our resident heart expert, Ted Bieberstein, saved his life by saying, must immediately go to the hospital. And that meant something. My memories of this building can't be summarized in the 2 minutes I was allotted. I personally served on almost every committee there was. I started on sisterhood, I did religious affairs, I did youth, I chaired the religious school for 9 years. I was on a committee to hire a rabbi, a committee to hire a cantor, a committee to hire principals. Then came the executive board, and then came the presidency, which happened to fall when we became Temple Tikvah. We were consolidated. I felt at times that I was the president of 3 different temples, Temple Emmanuel, Temple Israel, and Temple Tikvah. And it took a while, but everyone had said, give it 5 or 10 years. That's what the experts said. And it will feel like a united temple, and it did. And the friends I gained from that consolidation, I can't begin to say how important they were in my life. To sum up my presidency, I've always said and always believed it was the hardest job I ever had, but the most rewarding job I ever had. 2 weeks ago at Yisker, I found myself, and the cancer noticed, crying more than usual. Of course, it's sad, but there were probably several reasons why it got to me so much this time. First, I looked at the plaques on the wall, and I saw my husband, I saw my parents, and I saw other names of people that I grew up with here. And then I focused on the row of seats, which I was not in, but I think it was the 4th row, where prior to the consolidation, we sat in. Those were our seats, and I thought about that. Then I looked at the eternal light, and I said, it's gonna have to be extinguished. Okay, so I was a bit of a wreck, but then came Jay's video. Jay Bieber, you can always make me cry. You can always make me laugh, and you can always make me cry. When I saw the list of names of people, friends, congregants that had passed away, it really hit me. Just to name a few: Barry Wolf, George and Loretta Cohen, Eddie Kahn, Ted Bieberstein, Susan Berman, Marlene Hurwitz, Cantor Guy Benet, Bob Bader, who passed away just 5 days before we turned 100, and we had planned last year this big celebration. These people were family. They weren't just people that sat at a service with me, and that broke me. It really did. And then I remembered all the temple members that came to my house for Brian's Shiva. My house was overflowing. The caring, kindness, thoughtfulness of all the members, whether they were close friends or just acquaintances, was unbelievable. And I realized all these fond memories, they're not about the building. None of them really are. It's about the people. And so I feel as long as we will be together, and we will be, we'll continue to be a caring, loving, supporting community. I said to myself, it's okay to leave the building. We'll still be the same family. Thank you.
So many of you know that Temple Tikvah has a writing group, which is so beautifully and lovingly staffed by Jack Zappos, and that group has prepared a poem that they're going to share with us now.
Hello, members of the Temple community. We are the Temple Tikvah Writing Group, and we event, we wrote a joint poem. What that is we each come with a line, and then the next person associates from that line, and we have a, we do have a finished product. We went through it, we made some corrections, and so here we go. It's also included in our group is Esther Krashevsky. She could not make it here in person, but her voice will be heard electronically. So this is called Tikvah, Our Hope.
I cherish the moments on the bema of the temple Tikvah sanctuary and the sky above.
We listen to the cantor chanting prayers and sing in unison with the congregation.
It feels like the lovely flow of a shower with sound dripping its dew on our heads.
Divine sparks flow into our hearts as we pray together, creating a myriad of heartfelt thoughts.
Beautiful stained glass windows depict our Torah stories.
The rabbi's sermons relate to what was relevant to the times, current events, and the holidays, allowing us to think about what's going on around us with a spiritual and Jewish significance.
There are some of our treasured memories that we share and create anew each year.
And as we become storytellers ourselves, we believe in these stories both spiritually and rationally.
There was a holy sanctuary. There was an engaging view of the sky as seen through the shin wall. Yet, there will always be the feelings of the congregants violently expressed.
A new hope. Our fearless leader, we an intrepid crew on a voyage of discovery together.
And we walk on, knowing that the force is within us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for those beautiful words and for the words and spirit of creativity that you bring to this congregation all the time. So we're going to turn back to those words from Proverbs, how good it is. Hyde matov. Umanayim Shabbat achim kam yachad. All of our choirs will join their voices together.
Good evening, friends. The great news is we're all moving on together. The great news is we're all moving on together. The Temple Tikvah congregation and clergy. Most likely to Temple Emmanuel. What will I miss most about Temple Tikvah? This sanctuary. To me, the Temple Tikvah sanctuary was the most beautiful I was ever in. With the wood beam ceiling, the bima, the ark, and the cushion pews where I was sat. When you entered this sanctuary on a Friday night, you always felt the warmth. When you entered this sanctuary on a Friday night, you always felt comforted. When I entered the Temple Tikvah sanctuary on a Friday night, it was always special. Thank you.
Due to technical difficulties, part 1 of tonight's video will be delayed.
So I was about to introduce part 1 of tonight's video, which Jay Beaver has worked tirelessly on, and many of you have contributed bits and pieces of audio and video and photos, and we are not giving up, right?
No.
No, that's the right answer. But perhaps we'll move on, and Jay, can we help in any way?
Say a prayer.
Yeah, good idea, Amitai. No, yes? Move on. Okay. We will continue, and we will anticipate eagerly that those videos will be available and we'll be able to. And we'll keep up the prayers too. So we're going to turn next to Leslie Kisner, currently co-president of Sisterhood, but also long-standing member of this congregation. Yeah. Well, I promise we'll give you time to move back so you can see the video when the video works.
Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Leslie Kisner, and I'm the second generation of 4 that have been members of this temple community. 3 and 4 are sitting over here. My parents were not founding members of Temple Emmanuel, but joined a few short years after its founding. I know that they were members by 1957, as my sister was named in our sanctuary that year. So I'm thinking of what I could talk about, my lifetime association with this community and with this building. I was trying to decide what to talk about. Do I talk about my family involvement? That every possible Jewish milestone has occurred within this building, from baby namings, 3, to consecrations, 5, to the Benot Mitzvah, 4, confirmations, 4, high school graduations, 3, 2 weddings, and even a funeral. Or do I mention the involvement of my family, from my dad, who served, I think, in every officer capacity, including president, my mom, who did the sisterhood budget for years, and sang with the choir until medical issues interfered with her ability to sing. Of my time on the temple board, chair of youth committee, part of 2 different clergy search committees, and now in my 3rd year as sisterhood co-president. That my daughter, as a toddler, climbed onto the bima to smell the bima flowers in the middle of the service, or would sit in front of the stained glass windows and just examining them. And that as a youth, she found the same hiding spots and places to run around that I had used as a child. Do I mention that my grandson referred to this building as Dino World when he was 2? And it took us a little while to figure it out. Any of you have come to Tikvah Shabbat and heard the song about the dinosaur knocking at my door, wanting to spend Shabbat with me, will get the connection. Or I can talk about this building, how what we call the Beaver was our original sanctuary, that the storage room off the staircase at the rear of the Beaver was the rabbi's study, and the storage area upstairs above the kitchen was the choir loft, and the choir would march in from the rear and climb up to their loft at the beginning of each service. Do I mention the folding chairs that we used in the sanctuary then, and how they would collapse at least once every service under a misguided foot of a child standing on them to be able to see? And that exact thing is one of my earliest memories here, when I was the one who fell during some Torah services, holding my little Torah that I had received at consecration. Or that my 3rd grade religious school class took a class trip to visit the construction of the new sanctuary and saw the enormous space and concrete that eventually became our new sanctuary ballroom and classrooms. Or how we went from folding chairs to wooden pews, and then after one high holiday period, a group donated the funds to get cushions on the pews. Cushions that weren't attached and would slide around, so when you sat back down after standing up in a service, you might have a cushion up your back, you might not have a cushion at all because it may have slid down. Do I speak about the changing roles of men and women? When I was young, our leadership was all male. There was one woman on the board, and I believe she was the secretary. Our clergy was all male. As baby boomers, we had so many kids in religious school, 500 to 600 at a time, that girls were rarely bat mitzvah, and even then, sometimes we had 3 and 4 bar mitzvah a week. I can recall only 2 girls in my religious school class that were bat mitzvah, but in the later 60s, that began to change. During confirmation, I was given the honor of receiving the Torah on behalf of the class, the first female given that honor. It became assumed that girls would be bat mitzvah as the norm, not the exception. Women became rabbis, and eventually our bima had women clergy, and a board of trustees became mixed gender. Sisterhood was then, as it still is, a vital part of our community. They did miracles handling baby boomer-sized crowds of kids. I admire them for how they managed Oneg for Simchat Torah with hundreds, I'm telling you, hundreds of kids getting their ice cream cups in a controlled manner. The secret? Nobody got ice cream unless they were sitting in their seats. Or making haroset and hard-boiled eggs for literally 500 or more kids for the Motzayers. At that point, there was no religious school parenting committee. It was Sisterhood that did everything pretty much for the religious school needs. That was Sisterhood adapting to the needs of our community over the years. Or I can talk about community of people. So many people over my lifetime, some that I've known since childhood that are still also members of this community, and others that have joined at other points in my life. This group of people that became friends and family that work together, adapting to the times, there to share in times of joy, working together to make various events happen, coming together in difficult times, supporting each other, learning together, praying together, laughing together, keeping a community together. Our building is special to us, but is it the building or is it the people that keep us as a community and keep us together?
Thank you.
So friends, maybe you had a chance as you were walking down the halls to see that we had a bunch of pieces of paper hung up in a little banner outside. We asked our religious school students one Sunday recently to just spend a couple minutes to think about what they liked about temple. Whether it's a specific memory, or a certain event, or just an aspect of temple. And you can read them all on the wall, and you can see some of them drew some great little pictures as well. I invite you to take a look at them when we go back out there. I'm not going to read them all. I wanted to share a few highlights with you. Here's one. Temple Tikvah. Something that is the most memorable for me is my sister had her bat mitzvah there. I remember that my family had teary eyes after we were done. Another time I felt I remembered having fun is when we performed skits and had a blast in our grade service. We were laughing till we were crying. Those are some of my favorite memories from Temple Tikvah. And that's Emmy Eugene. Here's Chloe Kennedy, who writes, "It was my first day of Temple Tikvah. I was in 4th grade, and when I walked in, I met all of my new friends." And here's Amitai Marsh. He has a beautiful picture, so you have to see it outside. But he says, "My favorite memory of Temple Tikvah is Rabbi's anniversary service. I also like Mora Angela." That is his teacher. And I want to share also the words of Benjamin Bronstein, who writes, "My favorite part about Temple Tikvah is praying and singing with my friends. It helps me be happy. I hope I can go to Temple Tikvah more. It's meaningful to me because it really helped me learn more about the Jewish holidays and people." And this one is from Ryder Gutterman, who writes, "My favorite time at Temple Tikvah was the Purim Carnival, because we got to dress up and play carnival games. I also got to hang out with my friends and do arts and crafts. And after we got lots of goodies and candy, we also got a whole meal. So that's why the Purim Carnival is my favorite time." I will tell you that she represents several of them. And this one from one Louis Maria, who wrote, "My favorite memory was on Thursday," this was just recently. "I went to Yom Kippur service. I went with my grandma. All of my class was there. My sister was also there, that's you, Melody. And we also gave some food to people who needed it. This was my favorite part." And finally, one more from Lena Moletsky. Lena writes, "Temple made me feel like I belonged. When I wasn't in Temple, there were barely any Jewish kids. When I would share my culture, people thought I was weird. So I came here. It changed my whole view about what I thought Temple was. People made me feel welcome and helped me understand I was finally at home. The picture I drew," and once again you can look outside to find the picture, "was my favorite part of Temple. It was so beautiful, the glass windows. I love the glass windows. It was like a light after being in the dark. Thanks for making me a part of Temple." Some of the beautiful voices of our youngest members of our community. There are many more, as I said, you could read them outside, but we are just so blessed with an amazing group of kids who really bring light to all of us throughout their time as well. Jay and David, any luck?
We have made the executive decision to show this video upstairs in the auditorium.
Okay. Okay.
I can tell you about the video.
So we will watch the 2 parts of the video then upstairs after a few other things. But while we're here, I would love to hear from the choir again, who I think are going to sing for us a beautiful song, Prayer for Peace, for the sake of our children, for the sake of all of us. Let's continue to pray for peace in the Middle East, in our own homes, in our own hearts. Oseh Shalom. So we turn next to Dave Bieber.
The best laid plans, huh? We're gonna show it upstairs, I think. It will be fine. "72 years ago, Esther and Harry Bieber attended their first Friday night service at Temple Emmanuel in Hyde Park. They brought along their 4-year-old boy, me, and that was my first service also. Rabbi Robbins and Cantor Steinhauer led that service, and I usually fell asleep on my mother's lap during the sermon. Something might not change. For most of my childhood, every Friday night, been putting on a shirt and tie and coming to services with my family. We sat in the same seats on the right side, third row in the middle, every single week. This temple is where I grew up. It became the center of my family's social life. I went to Sunday school here, was bar mitzvahed and confirmed here in front of this ark. When Lynn and I started dating, I brought her here too. I know, she paid. And we married right in front of this ark. And 25 years later, we renewed our vows here as well. Our children were named here, attended religious school here, had their bar and bat mitzvahs here, and they were all confirmed here. 22 years ago, I stood in front of this ark as a representative of this congregation and welcomed Rabbi Scheinberg to our temple. My daughter got married very soon after Rabbi Scheinberg officiated, and it was her first official act as our rabbi. The funeral services for my mother and father were also held here in front of this ark. This sanctuary was a home to every milestone that truly mattered in my life. Tonight, we gathered to say goodbye to a building, but for me, as I'm sure you can imagine, it's much more than that. This building has been my family's spiritual home for 72 years. Many of you might not have known my father, and it's no coincidence that the auditorium bears his name. And just so you know, it's not the Beaver, it's the Harris Beaver Auditorium. When this building was built and a light would go out, there was no way to fix it. You could see how high it was. he used to stand on a ladder that was just like this, and two men would hold it on either side. They put a rope around him, and he went up and he changed the bulbs. The auditorium was named for him because he worked tirelessly to make this temple our community home. He made it a better place. He served as president twice. It was difficult times, and they couldn't get somebody to run, and the board asked him, and he rose to the occasion, and he can ask Janet School what it's like to be president for more than 2 years. It's hard being president. It's not uncommon in those days to have several people running to be president. People wanted to be president. They just didn't have anybody else that year. And when the voting was over, my father gave his acceptance speech and he thanked everybody in the congregation who had voted for him, and he mentioned that my mother thanked everybody who hadn't. When he was installed the second time, they held an inaugural dinner in the ballroom, and it was an enormous event. It was a big deal to be president. Still is. I served on the board of this congregation for nearly 15 years. I chaired the parsonage committee that purchased the rabbi's house. I've been on the nominating committee more times than I can count, and I've even worked on a few multimedia projects that worked. When Guy came to our congregation, he even got me to play the drums. Lynn served as our president in this congregation and now chairs the future planning committee. She served on the sisterhood board, was a temple trustee before she became president. She was fundraising chair and chairman of the religious school, and chaired the rabbi search committee that brought our beloved rabbi to this congregation. Okay, she wins. More. Sometimes when people ask what I do for a living, I tend to say, well, I'm a designer and a printer, but my real job is at the temple, day to day. This building represents far more than bricks and mortar to me. It represents our shared faith, our commitment to each other, and a lifetime of memories. But that spirit and that commitment won't disappear. It's really no different than if somebody moves from New Hyde Park to Great Neck, let's say. They're still a family. Their address has changed, that's all. I will miss this building, as you can imagine. When we entered this building decades ago, we found a home. When I look around the sanctuary, I don't just see a building, I see generations of faith and devotion and love. So saying goodbye is difficult, but some goodbyes are more difficult than others.
Such beautiful words, and more to come upstairs, hopefully when we get to see the videos as well. Oh, finally! I know. Oh, sorry. I wanted to just say a few words of gratitude, and then we're going to conclude here in this room with a ritual that you are all part of. So stay tuned for a moment. But the first thing I wanted to do was to acknowledge our staff members who are here. Marie Brown, would you just stand up for a minute, please? I don't need to say much about Marie, so I'm not going to make it long, but we all know that how much of a debt we owe to Marie for keeping us on track, for handling the crises, big and small, for taking care of everything, for being a friendly voice at the other end of the phone, and for being a consistent, smiling, and beautiful presence for all these many years. So thank you, Marie. And Sharon Fricano is also here. Sharon is a member and also a member here, Sharon. I know you've been at the religious school for how many years? 37. 37 years as our and as chair or principal for 20-ish?
Yeah.
Ish. We lost track. So all of you kids who are currently there and all of you who've been kids there know what an important part of our community the religious school is, and it's great, thanks to Sharon, that we have such a thriving and desirable place where our kids learn how to not only learn their Hebrew very well, but also how to be little mensches. Who's wearing a little mensch shirt? I think that was the Missy's crew. They walked out for the moment. But yes, so they're awesome. And thank you, Sharon, for all that you do for this community. I would also like to ask, I see a whole bunch of Temple Tikvah's Madrachim here, our student volunteers. Would you just stand in place just for a sec? I know Becca just went crazy. There's Linda and Becca in Boston. They are 12 of our, I'm turning around. Sorry, Jeremy and Hope as well. 5 of 12 of our dedicated teams post-Vet Mitzvah. Some kids, as you all know, say, "Oh, I'm done, bye." Not these. They said, "What can we do to give back to this community?" And they are there every Sunday, helping out, serving as role models for the kids, and just brightening my day and brightening other people's days too. So thank you to all of you. And every single one of you, I could ask everybody who served on a committee to rise. I could ask everybody who served on the board to rise. I could ask all the current presidents, Cheryl Levine, and all the past presidents to rise. And you would all eventually look here, right? So just look around and know who you are and how special you all are. I do want to give a huge shout out to the amazing Temple Tikvah Celebration Committee that has planned this evening. And so if you feel like standing, please do. Terry Luxelder, Terry Hackra, Nicole Taylor, Arnold Block, Jack Russell, Jimmy Clark, Mackenzie, Jay Bieber, and Lisa Gillespie. Thank you all for making this a wonderful evening. And thanks to all of you who baked, who spoke, who contributed in so many ways to this evening. Here's what I'd like to do now. Many of you have already said this, that the building matters. It's been our sacred place, but it's the container for our holiness. The holiness comes in here, and it comes in here. I quoted a line in my High Holiday sermon, which I'm going to repeat now. Asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. This is what the book of Leviticus tells us. Make me a sanctuary that I might dwell here, says God. But the phrase ends in an odd way. Not that I might dwell in the sanctuary, says God, but that I might dwell b'tocham, in you, among you. That word b'tocham is plural. What this has always meant to me is, yes, this is our holy gathering place and space, but what makes this holy are the faces that I'm looking at right now. The web of connections that we draw between each other, the way we react together, how we learn and laugh and cry and do all of that together. And of course, we do this in the name of our tradition and of our sacred Sefer Torah. So here is how we are going to end our time in this sanctuary this evening. In a moment, let me give you these instructions. Don't get up yet. But I am going to ask you in a moment, if you're able and interested in doing so, I'd like ideally at least one representative per family, but it can be more. We are going to stand and we're going to make a big circle that's going to use all of the free aisle space in the sanctuary. So the whole back aisle, around the sides, the front, and the center aisle as well. So it's going to be like a little figure 8. And we can actually, if we need the space, we can even come up and do it on the beam and extend the circle that way. We're going to do that so that, and then if you're not able to rise or if you're comfortable staying seated, that is just fine. But what we're going to do in a moment is I'm going to call up the honorees to come to the Torah to open the Ark. And we're going to take out a couple of our sacred Sifrei Torah, and we are going to lovingly pass them family to family with this congregation so that we can feel ourselves connected to each other, connected by Torah, connected by our relationships, and connected in a way that is the holiness that we are going to take with us as we move on to our next chapter. So, with that, I would like to invite you now to take a moment, put down your books, whatever you're carrying. You don't need much, and I know if you can't hold a Torah comfortable but just want to touch it, we will make sure that that happens as well. But if you're comfortable doing so, let's try to make that big circle, this big figure eight all the way around. We can stand, we can see one another. And while you're doing that, I'd like to invite up the schools, Janet and Barry, and Sandra and David Peskin to come join me on the Bima.
We're okay. This is the best we're gonna get, I think.
You're doing a pretty good job, guys, but let's make sure we're in a circle that we can see each other. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, we are going to open the Ark now. Ask my madrachim when the Torah gets to you to also help. I'm gonna walk around with one, maybe Cantor. Do you want to walk around with the other Torah? And we'll make sure. No, huh? No. You know what? As the Torahs are here in front of us, let's just take a moment and say the words of the Shema.
Oh
all united by this Torah, by this tradition, and by this beautiful sacred place. So just one more song, if we could have your attention, and then we'll all go upstairs. are going to reconvene upstairs in the Harris Beaver Auditorium. We're going to ask you to find a seat if you can at one of the tables. If there aren't enough seats, we'll rearrange. Don't worry. We did want to do Havdalah there, and hopefully we'll be able to see the videos there. And then we'll have our festive, delicious potluck dessert to follow.